Here's a certain kind of person who mistakes describing a problem for understanding it. David Brooks has built a 30-year career on exactly that confusion. The thesis is simple. Brooks presents the vocabulary of moral seriousness as a substitute for moral seriousness itself. He talks about character, about virtue, about the second mountain of commitment and meaning, and the talking is the whole thing. The performance of depth is the product. Start with the structure of his thought. A Brooks column has a recognizable architecture. Cite a social science study, name drop a 19th century moralist, invent a composite everyman with a poignant struggle, conclude that we need more humility or rootedness or some other noun that sounds like an answer without being one. The problem is that this method is insulated from being wrong. If you never make a specific claim, you can never be specifically refuted. Brooks doesn't analyze the world, he mood boards it. Then there's the politics, which is where the soft focus aesthetic starts to develop sharper edges. Brooks spent years as a conservative commentator arguing, with great warmth and sensitivity, against the very safety nets that might have helped the working-class communities he now tours as a kind of sociological grief tourist. His pivot to lamenting inequality arrived with remarkable timing, right after the specific policies he'd supported had finished their work. He doesn't reckon with this. Reckoning would require the kind of self-examination he prescribes for everyone else, and the prescription, it turns out, was never written for the pharmacist. But the deepest problem, the one that makes the rest of it cohere, is the class politics embedded in his notion of virtue itself. When Brooks talks about character, he means the behavioral codes of the professional upper-middle class dressed up in the language of universal ethics. Punctuality, networking gracefully, building a narrative arc for your life, these are presented as timeless moral achievements rather than what they are, adaptive strategies for a particular socioeconomic niche. The person who can't build a narrative arc because they are working two jobs doesn't lack character. They lack time. Brooks can't see this because seeing it would mean acknowledging that the virtues he celebrates are, in substantial part, the inheritance of the comfortable. And that acknowledgement would unravel everything: the columns, the books, the TED talks, the whole cathedral of warm concern. It would mean admitting that the moral vocabulary he's been trafficking in isn't a solution to the atomization and suffering he describes. It's a way of aestheticizing it, of making the wound beautiful enough to be bearable, profitable enough to be recurring. David Brooks found the thing every successful commentator needs, a problem that can be named forever without ever being solved. The second mountain is always still ahead. The climb is the content.